I wouldn't have let him do it. Bloody good little driver. But, you know, never been up a hill. And he got to the top and he said, on the second run, he said, I said, what happened? He said, you know, you told me to take it in third gear. I said, yes. He said, the first run, it was really blah, blah, blah. So he said, I took it in second up through the first couple of turns. God, he said, I suddenly went sideways up the road. He said, do you think anybody saw me? I went, there's 50,000 people up there. And they got
They like a bit of drama, don't they?
And
Yeah,
everyone
that's
loves social media. Wow.
Yeah, so
I envy the condition of this.
it is lovely.
I had a 944. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
And I actually sold it to someone at Goodwood who's restoring it with some young apprentices
Yeah.
back to new.
Oh, right.
So
Well, they've just rebuilt the racing version of this, and I drove it to Le Mans this year. Did I? No, Nürburgring. I drove it in the parade.
wow.
And they didn't think they took it to Le Mans, but I drove the sister car at Le Mans and was, believe it or not, was lying fifth at 8 o'clock in the morning in one of those with my teammate from America, Al Holbert, because it's perfect balance, you know, handling wise, got 320 horsepower, and it pissed with rain all through the night, and all the stars fell off, and there we are running fifth.
Wow.
And in fact, we would have finished third or certainly fourth if it hadn't been for the fact the piston went, and then it went on the up. There were three cars: a British car, American, German, and I was put in the American because one of the drivers in the American car had a crash on the road, and they took me out of the British car with Andy Rouse and Tony Dron because we could get away with two drivers. So I went to the American car with Al Holbert, and then ultimately drove with Al in the American Championship in the Lermbrad car for 5 years because of our time together at Le Mans.
Wow.
But
No, this is a very special car. A lot of people
yeah.
have taken a lot of
the way
pictures of it.
I told you, we sort of basically had a car a year at the factory, but only up to a certain value. So to get the car you wanted, you had to wait 2 years for your car. So every 2 years I'd have, you know, the car of my choice. And most times I didn't even bring it to England because if I bring it in England on a left hooker and then pay tax on it, it was never going to sell it.
No.
So I ordered a 928, right. Very first car they said, what car do you want? So I said 928, blue, beige interior, the whole bit, because I just thought, I've had enough fun of driving 911 sideways down the M1 when I didn't want to be, with crosswinds and bumps and things. And I get enough thrills racing. I don't need it on the A5. So I said, I'll have a 928S with all the extras, because within a year they'll see through me. Because I was driving that car at Mall, you can't see it behind the Jules car.
Oh yeah.
That was my 1981 winner. And of course, I stayed with Porsche with the 956. So, right, just come Christmas time, the beginning of the 956 era, the head of engineering actually phoned me up and he said, Herr Bell, I'm afraid you're not going to get your 928, you're going to get a 924 Carrera GTS. I went, oh, I don't want something with an Audi engine, because it's an Audi 4-cylinder.
Yes, yeah.
I said, I want it. So they said, like, tough shit, you don't argue with Porsche. So they turned up with this. And I was going around and lapping at Paul Ricard at one of our early tests. And as I went by the pits, always looked to the pits for the pit sign, and I'd think, what's that red cut? God, that looks brilliant. I could see the white pearl wheels. And they told me they were delivering my car there, but I went, bloody hell, that can't be mine. No, it's far too nice to be mine. I know I'll have one with black wheels. And lo and behold, I pull in the pits and we get out the car, finish everything, and then they said, there's your car, Herr Bell. And 2 nights later, I drove back to England.
From Paul Ricard.
From Paul Ricard with Russell Balgin, who you would probably not remember, but he was a wonderful, tall journalist who died of cancer about 7 years ago. Fabulous bloke. He started with Triple C, car and car conversions, who I did a lot with in the early days, driving powerboats and motocross and all sorts of things, as opposed to a car. And then, we did this feature on the Lines 56's, you know, inaugural run. And then we drove back in this, and at 2 o'clock in the morning, we were going by Dijon in the rain at 150 miles an hour. But of course, I had driven it at Le Mans 2 years before, so I guess it's like home from home, you know.
That's an amazing car.
I mean,
to see it, and not on, we've seen it on display, and you know, with ropes around it and people protecting it and stuff, but actually see it in its natural habitat.
That's right, exactly. Sorry, I'm just going to try and get it.